Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. Got a special guest coming on the show today to give a little preview of the All-Stars coming to Atomic Speedway. Local Ohio dirt track racer Nate Reeser comes on the program. Now, as always, this episode is brought to you by W Energy. Go to w.gg, use promo code ZBHP to get 10% off your order. Again, that's w.gg, promo code ZBHP, 10% off your order. Let's welcome in Nate Reeser. All right, Nate. Well, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a local sprint car racer up in Ohio. Is that correct?
Yep. We've been running 410s for about, I think this is our 8th season now. Before that, we ran 305s for about 8 or 9 years. Ran sprint cars since I was 16. Before that, we ran quarter midgets. Did that since I was 9. So I've been racing a long time, racing with my dad, racing with my mom. It's definitely good family time. And now I'm married, and my wife goes along with us too. So
there you
definitely
go.
A good way to keep the family together.
Yep. I mean, I've said it many times. Racing is a big family business, as it should be, and especially sprint car racing, and especially at local dirt tracks and everything. So I think your Twitter bio and everything says you race mainly at Atomic Raceway up in Ohio. Is that the main track you race for, like championship points and everything?
Yeah, that's where 30 minutes from there, so it's nice and easy to get to every weekend whenever they run us. Even though this year they only have us, I think, 14 times, unfortunately. And Mother Nature doesn't want to play nice either. So
no, it has not fared well for anybody up in the north, either in Ohio or in Pennsylvania. It seems like. Describe the racetrack a little bit for those who don't really know much about Atomic Speedway.
I think a lot of people describe it as a 3/8 bull ring kind of. It's really, really fast, especially early in the night. I think we average speed somewhere around like 120 in qualifying normally. We got a local guy, Cole Duncan, there. He's really, really tough to beat every week. Even when the All-Stars Outlaws come in town, he's still pretty tough to beat for them too. So that makes it feel better on nights when you can race with him and kind of be a good litmus test against him if you try to go elsewhere too.
What days do you usually race on?
They race on Saturdays. We try to race. We race mostly Saturdays. Every once in a while we'll go race a Friday, Saturday, or just a Friday, depending on what's out there. We don't really follow any series. There's the OVSCA and Fast Series are the two big traveling, or not big, but two of the smaller traveling series near us. We try to run as much of those as we can, but we don't hold ourselves to them. So if we ever want to go somewhere else on a weekend, we can still go wherever we want to go.
So when you started off in sprint cars at 305 and then you transitioned to 410, what was the, I guess, biggest difficulty for you to transition up into a 410?
The biggest thing is just getting used to knowing that you can lift and get away with it. With the 305, it's all about momentum. So keeping your momentum up is so important that it's kind of hard to convince yourself that you're allowed to lift and not give up a bunch of time. And it's easier and harder at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can get yourself out of trouble a lot easier in a 410 just because you got the power to pull yourself out of a hole if you get in one. In the 305 you couldn't, but at the same time you're going that much faster, so everything happens that much faster.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. What so you guys are all I guess it's just a small team and everything. Do you build all of your cars, chassis, and all that stuff, and your engines too?
We ship our engines up to level performance. That's way too expensive to mess around with trying to do it yourself, in our opinion. So we spend a little bit of extra money on that, and then most of our cars we've either gotten off of Rodney Duncan. They've sold us a few frames, or just here and there where we can get one pretty cheap. I think our newest frame was made in like 2010, I think. So we run with what we got. Try to put everything we have into it. We've been lucky enough to have a few people step up and help us. My uncle's helped us out a little bit. My wife's uncle, I mean. And then we've had a couple sponsors with Simpson and Teenage Nut and Bolt. They're a local family thing where
Awesome.
actually the business is closed now but the guy my grandpa grew up with, they've helped us out a little bit just because we put him on our card when we didn't have anybody to put on our card, and they like that, and they like hearing that his name announced on the weekend when they go to Atomic. So they've helped us out some, and we had Turbo Heating and Cooling. They've helped us out some. So we've been lucky enough to keep going, and we'll keep going until we run out of money, I guess.
Well, you keep at it, keep having success and everything. That'll lead to the money, and that'll lead to more sponsorship opportunities and everything.
Hopefully,
And so when this actually comes out, it'll be the day of the big All-Star race coming into Atomic on May 4th. I assume that you'll be competing in that one.
Yep, we'll be there. We got the night off work already, so we should be there. Hopefully, Mother Nature plays nice with us. I think right now it looks pretty good, so hopefully it stays that way.
Have they do they usually come to Atomic, or is this like a first time thing, or?
So there was they did for a while. We used to always have a Speed Week show and another show, it seemed like, and then the old owner of Atomic they just had some disagreement with the All Stars, and then they didn't come back for a little while. And then when they took over the new ownership, they brought back the All Stars. So it's always fun to go race against them, and it always seems like we have our worst night whenever that happens. Have worse luck or something goes wrong qualifying or something, but you got to be really on it up against them if you want to try to make the show.
Yeah, of course. Does the Speedway do races like the week or two prior to? So there's tracks up in Pennsylvania and other tracks that usually have local racing like that, and the week or two before they'll start getting kind of the format of what All Stars do, like the time trialing and everything like that. So is time trialing a normal thing at Atomic, or is that something that the track has a race prior to All Stars coming to?
Yeah, we normally time trial.
Okay.
We normally only do one lap though, so it'll be nice getting 2 laps, but we normally time trial.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yep.
What what's the I guess biggest difficulty when you race against those all stars coming into there? And I guess also on the flip end of that, the advantages of being a local racer at that track, and you kind of know the ins and outs of that track.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps a lot, especially when it comes race time. You know where to be on the track, and when the track's in a certain state, you can kind of know. Okay, normally I got to be right around the bottom, or right around the middle, or right around the top, or wherever you got to go. That kind of helps out. The other kind of weird thing that happens, it seems like whenever there's a big race, there's enough guys that want to run the top. That's really where you got to be, especially in qualifying, even more so. So the track's a little bit different, and sometimes a little bit trickier. So you just got to be prepared and keep that in mind, and know what to do to get up there.
Now you mentioned briefly the speed weeks you guys have up there. It's Ohio Speed Weeks, I believe. That's still going on and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And is it? I know there's one in June for the PA Speed Weeks as well. So is that kind of similar how that runs?
Yeah, I think you guys have a much better format format for the night than we do, but everybody tries to copy the PA Speed Week, it seems like, format. But yeah, it's 60 or 50 or 60 guys normally run every night. I mean, not always the same 50 or 60 guys, but there's I think normally like 30 that travel around with it. We normally go to Atomic Show and Portsmouth Show, and we've tried to hit a couple other ones every once in a while, but we've never ran more than 2 or 3 of them.
Gotcha. Is there any plans for you to kind of race and branch out a little bit to other racetracks, especially for like I guess higher dollar raceways? I don't really know how far you are from Pennsylvania and all that, but they always have the Outlaws All Stars come to a bunch of events there, and even other racetracks in Ohio.
Yeah, we travel around Ohio quite a bit. We go down to West Virginia. We went down to West Virginia Motor Speedway a couple of years ago when they had that bigger race with Fast Series. That was a crazy track because it's I think it's 5/8. That's what Williams Grove is too, right? It's 5/8.
Oh, Williams Grove is. You said Williams Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, they consider it a half mile, but it's a pretty big half mile.
Right. Yeah, so it was 5/8. That was pretty interesting for the first time. I've never ran. We hadn't ran, at that point. We hadn't ran Eldora yet. That was kind of sketchy a little bit, getting the nose to lift up and all the speed from it.
Yeah.
We've gone up to Michigan for a couple races. We've been out to Indiana to Gas City, which is a really cool track. And I can't remember the other one we went to. There's another one we went to Indiana. We haven't been into Pennsylvania, into Posse Land yet. I don't know if our little trailer will make it that far, but we're about 7 hours from central Pennsylvania. My wife actually and I went to the Outlaw show 2 years ago, and at Port Royal at the end of the year. I had some work I had to do on that Saturday in Mifflintown. I was like, well, it was the same day as the Outlaw show, so I was like, yeah, we'll go. I brought her with me and we went over to watch the race afterwards. So that was pretty cool. That's a really cool track. I'd really like to race there. My car owner doesn't want to go that far, I don't think. Plus, we don't have the motor to compete out there, really.
Well, I mean, and so not always just about having the best engine too to have success there. You have to stay out of trouble and be at the right place at the right time as well. Anything can happen in those races there. I mean, they have that big race coming in the fall. It's a 3-day event, the Tuscarora 50 event. So you could look at that. Put a little pencil in your calendar. I mean, for a 3-day event, that would definitely be worthwhile driving from Ohio. There, not just 1-day event or something like that.
Yeah, if we came out, we definitely have to come out on either one track all 3 days or something like that, or try to hit a couple of tracks on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we'll see. I'd like to get out there. We'll see what we can do. Hopefully, we make a little bit of money this summer. We might be able to.
There you go. Are there any plans for you to head up to Eldora this year? They've got the big Eldora Million coming in July.
I don't think so. I mean, things can always change. Again, we don't have the motor to go there and try to compete. We went to the Kings Royal 2 years ago, and then we went to the Four Crown last year, and I'm holding to the floor, and they're all driving away from me. That's not real fun. But it's cool to be there, and we can say we ran it at least at this point. But until we get a little bit better stuff, we'll probably not go again.
Well, hopefully keep having success at the local levels and everything. Keep building up and be able to branch out a little bit those bigger tracks. And I mean, it is hard to compete against those bigger teams that, I mean, they have tons of money to spend and they're not afraid to show it. It seems like, especially the Outlaws, and I mean, you can definitely put the All Stars in there as well.
We have the Outlaw show coming up at the Memorial Day weekend too at Atomic that we're pretty excited about.
Oh, awesome! Okay, I didn't even realize Outlaws were heading there. Awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
Last year they ran last year, I think around the same time, and then they're doing a 2-day show this year. So,
well, that's perfect. Well, I mean, obviously, good luck with that. That's definitely going to be something else. Is there at Atomic when you're racing it? Is it usually end up being the high line you have to run, or if somebody is able to run the bottom, is that probably ideal to do that?
It normally gets pretty racy in the feature. The top is still normally the dominant line, and it's kind of changed. He put a bunch of new dirt on it this year, and it seems like you really have to be at the top compared to years past. Cole a lot of times would go through, which he was the only one that could figure it out. He could a lot of times go through the middle and get around a lot of people. That's how he was kind of so dominant. And they're struggling to do that this year. So, I mean, it gets a little hairy up there, especially you gotta convince yourself it's gonna turn, and you can be 2 inches from the wall and it's not gonna slip up any. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely like around the high line. It's a lot more fun than the bottom. The bottom's a lot like work, I think is what Stuart said once. But
I think I was watching one of the heats at Atomic and everything. I think your dad actually posted it on YouTube. It's from a couple years ago. If it's still the same, is the backstretch, there's no walls or anything like that?
So it's depending on which video you saw, they added a little bit of a wall to coming into 3. They extended that out a little bit. And then there's no wall down the backstretch. So it used to be right in the middle of the corner, and then that was a little really sketchy because if you messed up, you're right in the end of the wall. But luckily, they kind of got smart and they brought it around a lot, and it's a lot more forgiving now. But it'll still bite you pretty bad though.
I just want to know how fun is it though to race those sprint cars? I mean, it's got to be just a thrill going out there and just being able to race.
It's a lot of fun. You don't really know you're going that fast until something happens right in front of you and you got to try to stop. But it's a lot of fun. It's really fun just because how racy they are, and you can kind of run different lines and try different things and get back to people if they get around you. And dirt racing's so much fun. I mean, we used to we race quarter midgets, and that was asphalt. And I don't think I can go back to asphalt after running dirt. So
I think you hear that from a lot of people too. I mean, it's a whole different world of dirt racing, and in my opinion, I think that's where the best drivers are because there's so much you're doing inside that car, and you don't have spotters, you don't have mirrors, you don't have this. You have basically I think maybe some do have some mirrors, but you have to rely on instinct, and
yep.
that's the biggest thing with dirt racing. And what do you do during the days of the races and stuff to, I guess, mentally prepare yourself for that race? Because, and I've said it over and over again, racing is just as much a mental game as it is a physical game.
Yeah, I realized that a little while ago, and I've tried to do a little bit of some techniques of mental focusing and kind of different things, and it's kind of whatever. I mean, it depends on the night. Some nights it's really easy to get in that mindset and jump in there and be good to go, and some nights you gotta really focus and try to put everything else out of your mind. I mean, that's kind of the other hard thing about having to work and race and everything else is you got your bills to pay and everything else you got to worry about.
Yep.
It's hard to just focus on racing sometimes, but
Yeah,
you figure
definitely.
it out.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that this is it's not all of these guys' permanent job. I mean, yes, outlaws and all stars, all that. Yes, that is their full time job. That's what they do. But everybody at the local level that they're seeing on flow racing, dirt vision, on the small streams and stuff, they they have daytime jobs they have to go to, and
Yeah.
it's not racing 24/7. Which I think that adds a lot of it's a lot more special for those drivers when they have success on the track and everything because it is not their full-time thing and it's something they do for fun, and when they can make success out of it, that I think that makes it even more special.
Definitely, yeah. The other thing that's kind of cool is most of the people we race against are in the same boat. Where if you tear a car up, you really got to figure out how to get parts to be able to make it to the racetrack next week. So it's nice to race against people like that because they run with a little bit more respect sometimes than some of the other guys that do it full time. And you can know that okay, I'm gonna do this, and I know he's gonna give me room, and I'm gonna give him room, and it's just a lot more fun that way. You race a little bit harder.
Well, and that actually transitions very nicely into what I was thinking of. When the outlaws and all stars come to town, they can afford to tear up the cars and they'll run the hell out of the cars every single lap, and they don't give anything. uh, how do you balance that out when you're racing against those guys?
You gotta, I don't know, you gotta kind of plan for those races if you're, which we haven't been in this position yet, but if you're in the position where you're gonna have a pretty good run, you got to be willing to do that with them a little bit. Otherwise, they'll just kind of knock you out of the way, and you'll be in the back pretty quick.
Yeah, and like I said, that's one thing. I mean, they don't want to tear up their cars, but they have backup stuff. I mean,
They can throw one.
you-
There was one night at Atomic, we ran. This was a Speed Week show. We had the finale, and I think we ran Wednesday. Wednesday night got rained out after heat races, so they ran the feature for Wednesday night, and then they ran the full night Saturday. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Parker Price Miller, but I could be wrong. There was somebody who was on the All Star Trail, and they jumped 4 cars that night. So yeah, they definitely didn't care about. They'll throw one away just to bring another one out. So
for sure. The biggest thing with the Outlaws this year is they changed to that the new tire rule, and
yep.
they're making everybody run that. Is that something that Atomics made mandatory to start transitioning into to be ready for those shows, or have you guys even gotten to run those tires yet?
We ran them. I think the second night we ran at Atomic this year, just to see. They seem similar. I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference. I think you got to do a couple of different things with the car. It seems like. I think just because the left rear especially seems like it's a lot softer and spring rate.
Yeah.
So you can do a little bit more to the left rear of the car to kind of stiffen that up a little bit, I think, which is good and bad. You just got to know, you got to be able to read what the car's doing and react to it and not be set in your ways that this is what we normally do, so this is what we're going to keep doing, because sometimes that doesn't always work. But yeah, I don't think they're making it mandatory this year, which is nice because we can try to run the old tires and buy them off people who are trying to get rid of them. So
Yep,
that's good.
definitely. Well, how many races have you guys raced so far this year? I mean, Mother Nature's been raining out everybody.
We've had 2 this year that we ran with both Atomic. We could have ran, I think it was 3 weeks ago. We could have ran at Wayne County, and we didn't end up going. And then it's rained the last 2 weeks, so
It's been that way. Hopefully, you get some nice weather throughout the week to make sure the track dries up and gets to where it needs to be, and then they can prepare it throughout the week for All Stars, and hopefully it's nice during the All Star race as well.
Yeah.
How many cars usually race there every week, just on the local level?
So for a normal night, normally between 20 and 24, I think is what we normally
That's
get.
awesome.
We generally get a little bit more than 20 normally. And then earlier in this year, we were the only ones running, so we ended up with, I think the first night we had like 30 some, and the second night we had 40 some, I think is what it was. It
Awesome.
was some pretty good cars. There's a lot of all-star guys there, a lot of guys from Fremont and Attica, which they're always tough. Which they don't come down here that often, just because they're kind of like the posse guys. They don't like get off the porch very much. But
so where exactly is Atomic in Ohio?
it's about an hour and 15 minutes south of Columbus. Straight down 23.
Okay, I got you. Is it one of those tracks that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, like a bunch of tracks over where I've been to?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's there's Chillicothe is a decent sized town. It's pretty nearby.
Okay.
There's some hotel options if you want to come out for the outlaw weekend maybe or something. But it's the worst part about it is if you got Verizon, you don't have any service there. But
of course,
the worst part of other places, we have AT&T, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, of course I got Verizon, and that would be my issue. Like, oh, great. Well, Nate, Liz, I appreciate you taking the time out of the busy week preparing for the All Stars and getting ready for them. It's a big event for you guys, a big event for all the local racers up there. I wish you the best of luck and just keep at it. And again, be patient. You never know what could happen during these events, and you have a bunch of success with them. And it's all about being in the right place at the right time, especially the All Stars coming to town. So, again, thanks for coming on, and we definitely look forward to seeing you race this year.
Appreciate it. Hopefully this will be, if we make the show, it'll be our first one. So hopefully that happens this Thursday, and we'll be able to celebrate a little bit. But yeah, you got to be really, really good, and you got to be a little bit lucky. It seems like we haven't had both of those in the same night yet. So hopefully we can hit that out of the park this weekend. I think we should be pretty good. We figured out qualifying towards the end of last year, which is a big deal, and running against them is starting up there. But
that's what it's all about. But we definitely wish you the best of luck. It's definitely going to be cool to see, especially having you on here. And now I got somebody in Ohio to pull for. I haven't had that before, so that's definitely pretty cool. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow on all social media platforms, and make sure you get follow on all podcasting networks as well. Everybody, driver the number 83 410 sprint car at Atomic Speedway, Nate Reeser. Nate, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.